Good morning, students. Now let us begin with the Merchant of Venice. You have the drama text, The Merchant of Venice, this particular text of yours, okay, The Merchant of Venice. You can see the picture and you can identify the text. This is your drama textbook. Then you will be having a drama workbook along with this, in which you have to write down the notes. I will be giving it to you. As I give it, either you write it or you can take a print copy of it. But the things mentioned in that workbook is much more important, which you should know. You should read through. Okay, read it, understand it after listening to my class. Okay, so let us begin with the drama. Okay, so before beginning with the drama, let us know who the Shakespeare is, isn't it? You know, Merchant of Venice is written by William Shakespeare. Now let us know who this Shakespeare is. Now, Shakespeare is regarded as the greatest writer of all time, not just of the Elizabethan period, but of all time. Okay, William Shakespeare, he occupies a unique position in world literature, not only in English literature, but in the world literature. He is a unique position he is having, right? So Shakespeare was born in 1564 and he died in 1616. And as you all know, his birth date as well as his death date is one and the same. That is 23rd April. Okay, he was born in Stratford upon Avon. Okay, there he was born, and from there the first reference to Shakespeare in the literary world of London was made in 1592. In this year he was remaining. There were many other things beside it, but all the things are not known as much about Shakespeare. He worked as a teacher and all. Some sources speak about it. Okay, so that is not very much clear. But then the first reference of Shakespeare in the literary world of London was made in 1592. So for 20 years, at about 20 years, Shakespeare dedicated himself industriously to his art, writing 37 plays, 154 sonnets, and 2 longer narrative poems. Okay, so these 2 narrative poems, Venus and Adonis and Rape of Lucrece. So these are the 2 poems. So that is about Shakespeare. So let us move to the next one, that is we should know before I. So he was the 16th century writer, okay, so dramatist. So let us know more about Shakespeare through the different things what we are going. What is Elizabethan age? These are all important fact when you are learning Merchant of Venice. So you should know what is the Elizabethan era, what it is. Okay, let us see. Before that, let me give you some examples of Shakespeare's work. Some of his works are Love's Labour Lost, The Two Gentlemen of Verona. Then you have Henry VIII, Midsummer, Measure for Measure, Midsummer Night's Dream. Then you have The Tempest, Othello, and Antony and Cleopatra, Julius Caesar, Hamlet. Then King Lear, you have As You Like It. These are some of his work, 12th Night and so on. There are many of the works which I have already mentioned about the work over here. At about 154 sonnets he has written and 37 plays he has written. Okay, so that is about, and 2 long narrative poems also, which I have already mentioned earlier. Okay, so these are some of his work, out of which in our syllabus we have The Tempest for the 11th and 12th standard students. They are doing Shakespeare's The Tempest, and here we are doing The Merchant of Venice. Okay, so before starting to it, let us move to the Elizabethan period. Okay, now what is this Elizabethan era? The Elizabethan era means the reign of Queen Elizabeth in the British throne. Okay, that is in the year of 1558 to at about 1603. It is that year is termed as, that particular era is termed as Elizabethan age. That is what is Elizabethan age. Why I am telling you? Because we are going to learn about it continuously throughout in this lesson about Elizabethan age. So you should know what is this Elizabethan age. So, though it is often used to refer to the late 16th and the early 17th century. As we know, Shakespeare was the 16th century writer, right? So, based on that, so this particular year, that is the 16th century or the Elizabethan era, was known as the Renaissance period. Okay, Renaissance. So we consider Shakespeare as a Renaissance writer. Okay, so Renaissance means what? You might have learned it in your history and all. Reawakening. Okay, reawakening. So though Renaissance happened all over Europe, the term Renaissance applies to the 16th century when England witnessed a socio-cultural upheaval and a change that affected the lives of all. So that is the period. So this period is having the greatest influence on English literature. Okay, so this Renaissance age, Renaissance period, which is considered as the greatest age of English literature. That is why we should know what is Renaissance period. So it is the greatest age of English literature, and during this time primarily plays and poems were written. Okay, and the prominent writers besides Shakespeare, there were other writers also who are today very famous because of their write-ups during this period. So these prominent writers of the age besides William Shakespeare were Ben Jonson, you might have heard it, Christopher Marlowe, then Sir Philip Sidney, Edmund Spenser, then you have Francis Bacon, Walter Raleigh, and there are many others also. Okay, so this particular age had in a religion, that is this particular age had a new outlook towards life. Okay, this Renaissance age. So religion, that is Christianity, played a great role in man's life. So this influence of the society you can see in the drama. Okay, so that is what I'm telling you over here. But God was not at all the center over there in that case, leading to a new and fresh outlook. This was termed as a literary, which was often termed by literary historians and scholars as Renaissance humanism. Okay, so that is what it was called as, this particular age. So that is about Elizabethan era. Next, we'll move to the Elizabethan theatre. So theatre means what you see today, AC theatres. No, not that type of theatres. There is a channel called as Safari channel. I don't know how many of you have been watching this particular channel. I don't know. In that channel, many a times they show the Elizabethan theatre in that particular channel called Safari. So if you get a chance, you just see it. It's not compulsory. I'm just giving an advice. So you will get an idea of the theatre. Okay. So Elizabethan theatre derived from several medieval theatrical traditions. Okay. So these theatres had plays performed, that to mystery plays performed with biblical references. Now what do you understand by biblical themes and references? You had learned this last year in Michelangelo, isn't it? Biblical themes is themes taken from the Bible. So Bible references were given to the mystery plays of the Renaissance plays. Okay, the plays performed during that particular time in the Elizabethan theatre. Okay. So here, when these were given some biblical references, there were different problem in the society. There were some Puritans who were against these things, right? The Puritans in the society during that time, they were against. So theatres normally sprang up in the suburban regions, okay, which was across the Thames River to city dwellers, okay, much beyond the authorities' control. So it was beyond the authorities' control. The theatres were beyond the authorities' control. So if the royalists in the sense, the people belonging to the royal family, okay, promoted literature and theatre, then there was a faction in England called Puritans. So who gave encouragement or who promoted these theatres and literature? The royal family, okay, the royalties, that is Queen Elizabeth and her people. They promoted literature, they promoted theatre. But then there was a faction in England called Puritans. These Puritans had a strong dislike for theatre. They never liked theatre at all, as theatre was seen as an immoral place by the Puritans. The Puritans saw these theatres as immoral place. So you can understand one thing over here is that there were two different opinions over here in the society itself. There were some who encouraged or who accepted these theatres, but there was others who never accepted theatres. So they were the Puritans who considered it as a immoral place. According to the Puritans, it was an immoral place, right? So this is what you can see. So even though Queen Elizabeth herself was a great admirer and promoter of theatre, still women were not allowed to act in plays in Elizabethan era. So this is much more important. So when we are reading the drama or when we are learning the drama Merchant of Venice, the female characters in Merchant of Venice, we always consider it as female characters and we get engrossed in the story. But actually speaking, those female characters were not really performed by females. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Got it? So the women characters were mostly played by boys. Boys used to dress themselves as the females. So they used to cross dress in the sense boys used to dress up like a lady and they used to perform like a woman, and they used to dress as females, and they used to perform in the drama. And so the dramas used to take place, because during that time women were not at all allowed to participate in dramas. So that was the reason why boys used to participate in place of the women, and they used to cross dress as females and used to play the role of women. So that is about the Elizabethan theatre. Let us move to the next.